Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna. We have Sadhak Seva announcement text. Sadhak Seva means practical Seva opportunities to help each other in different situations like job search, business referral, house search, finding loans officers, taxes help, legal help, health related help, matrimonial related, and many other types of help. Sadhak Seva means we should not only help in motivating others for japa, but should also help in other practical ways. Everyone who is a member of Japa Conference must also help everyone else in more practical ways. Presently, please share your name and number to our Everyday Chant Harinam Japa WhatsApp group or email to everydaychant@gmail.com. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, we have Prabhupada quotes. The holy name is so powerful that even by chanting with offense, gradually he becomes pure. Therefore, we should not give up chanting. Any circumstances, we should go on chanting Hare Krishna. 28th June, 1970. Hare Krishna, would anybody like to announce their names?
Hare Krishna Mataji and Hare Krishna to all the devotees. This is Surinder Bandari from Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ankush Bhandari from New Jersey.
Guru Maharaj ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Dhanyavad Prabhu ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Amritamani Devidasi. Dandavad to all of you and all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Sumati Mataji, we cannot hear you. Your voice is fading. Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devidasi from Orlando, Florida, and thank you so much for greeting. You're muted, Mataji.
I think Mataji is breaking in between also.
Subhati Mataji, you're muted. So we can't hear you.
I think it may be internet problem. I think he is speaking from Pune, India.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. So we have our speaker also here. Sumati Mataji, are you there to greet the speaker? Shri Gopal Pranadas Prabhuji is here. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my Dandavat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. And today we will do the summary of chapter 12.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I made you the host.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuno-militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Bhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamishya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sadhana Lalita Shri Vishakam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gaurati He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavacha Padikam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavedhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare
Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so we are very fortunate to be with all of you again this week for the discussion of the chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, namely devotional service. So this chapter is a very wonderful, beautiful chapter describing the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has got is considered like um, the first 6 chapters and the second 6 chapters, the last 6 chapters are like protective layer for the middle 6 chapters, and this 12th chapter is considered one of the best chapters of Bhagavad Gita, where um, where it is described the glories of deep practicing pure devotional service. And Krishna gives very wonderful things explaining about how one can achieve him or how one can practice pure devotional service and what are the ways one can practice, and what is the best way to approach him, what is the best way one can one can overcome one can um, overcome his other paths, especially the impersonalist path, and he shows the drawbacks of practicing impersonal yoga, you know, serving the Supreme Lord. So here is this very beautiful chapter of Bhagavad Gita, wherein the description is very nicely been explained. So, what is the connection between the last chapter and this chapter? So, in the last chapter, what did we hear? What was the discussion in the last chapter? Anyone, please? Last chapter was what chapter? Anyone remembers the chapter?
The universal.
Universal form.
The universal form. So, in the universal form, can anyone remember the acronym what we were discussing last time? From our S.B. Keshav Maharaj book Gita Life, we discussed about one acronym. If someone can remember, that will be the wonderful thing. He can completely summarize the last chapter within like a couple of minutes if someone remembers the acronym.
Prabhuji, don't remember the acronym, but you discussed about basically how the universal form how many times Krishna showed the universal form, and then gave description of different times he showed the universal form and why he showed it.
Okay, that was one of the discussions. Yes, definitely.
But I don't remember that at all. Maybe I didn't hear properly that time.
The acronym what we discussed was Rupa. It was like the request made by Arjuna to see the universal form, and then the universal form description, completely describing the universal form in that, the Lord is exhibiting the universal form. that is like from verse number 5 to 14, something like that. And then Rupa, and then prayers offered by Arjuna, after seeing the universal form. And then the armed form, when once Krishna, Arjuna was satisfied seeing the universal form and all the prayers what he made. After that, he wanted to see Krishna as his original form. So that is the last thing, And then we were discussing how everything is manifesting from Krishna. The 400 form of Krishna is coming also from the 200 form of Krishna, and the complete universal form is also like being exhibited by Krishna, and we could see that thing. And yes, we discussed a lot about how many times Krishna had showed his universal form, how many times, Krishna had shown what is the qualification of seeing the universal form. So all these things have been very nicely been described in the um, 11th chapter. So what is the connection between the 11th chapter and the 12th chapter? So in the 11th chapter, just to fulfill the desire of Arjuna, Krishna grants him the divine vision with which he sees the majestic and terrifying universal form. We can tell Bhayankar, this like, this is the word used in one of the verses. Like, Adbhutam and Bhayankar is like, this, it's majestic as well as it's very, very terrifying. And then Krishna shows his universal form, fulfilling all the opulences of, fulfilling form which is full of all opulences, demigods, time, Kala Roop also we have discussed. And then Arjuna is very astonished, seeing this thing. And then he immediately prays to Krishna, falling at his lotus feet that, I have committed a lot of offenses considering you just to be an ordinary friend. You are my friend. I never considered that you are the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after seeing this thing, my reverence, real mood to see you is like grown so much in my heart. And Arjuna wants to see this form, and Arjuna, after seeing this, he starts praying to Krishna with so many things, and he sees all the warriors getting killed one after another, getting stuck in the mouth or in the teeth, and it's like the death. He could see the death of all the warriors who were taking part in Kurukshetra. And then Arjuna becomes like an instrument to execute Krishna's plan. And then Arjuna offers prayers, and then he wants to see the 200 form. So after this, you know, after Krishna shows this 200 form, Arjuna being attached to the 200 form, he wants to clarify his position as a devotee, that, whether I should be attached to the personal form or to the impersonal form. This is where the 12th chapter begins, just to clarify his position as a devotee who works for Krishna, you know, or to a person who wants to worship the universal form. So it's like something which Arjuna wanted to clarify, and he want to see that, the Lord, to clarify his position and to see that, which form is more superior, the universal form or the 200 Krishna form, or Krishna is who is superior. So in this connection, this chapter begins. So if we see the acronym for the this chapter, what SB Keshav Maharaj gives is very beautiful acronym, because this chapter deals with devotional service. He gives the acronym as God, God, God. So G stands for Godhead, Godhead in the sense, in response to Krishna's, in response to Arjuna's question of, to pick up from the impersonal or personal form, Krishna is telling, Krishna is telling that which form is more superior. So in this thing, not which form, which path is more superior, whether the path of bhakti or whether the path of approaching the universal form. So that way it is Godhead, and then O is options, options in the bhakti, what all paths, what all things you can do, what all progressive stages of devotion is there, has been very nicely explained here by Krishna, and his um, magnanimity and his compassionate nature of accepting everyone is explained in this option, in this section, especially starting from the verse 8 onwards, it's very nicely explained about how Lord is, ready to accept everyone from highest to lowest. He's ready to give options for everyone to perform devotional service. And then, what is the disposition of a devotee? That is the last section. What all things, a devotee gets, the qualities that endures one to Krishna, what are the qualities. So these things have been discussed in the last section of this chapter. So this chapter is like one of the key chapters for understanding devotional service and how Krishna is like very beautifully accepting, accepting everyone, in this chapter. So the concept of bhakti is explained in Bhagavad Gita in many ways, in many chapters, and in the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, everywhere Krishna is little by little explaining about bhakti. In the just a second, I can just drink some water. In this chapter, sorry, in this like in many chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains about the concept of bhakti. So in the second chapter, in verse number 2.61, he explains how one can approach Krishna. Tani san tani sarvani sannyasi sannyasam yukta asitamat para. In this verse he tells how one can just control the senses. One can fix his mind upon me, and as steadily, as a person who is with steady intelligence, he can fix his mind and come to me. In 4.9, ye yatamam prapadyante tam, yeah, not that. Janma karmam chame divyam, evam yoveti tatvata, takta deham punarjanma, neti mameti sarjuna. So he's telling in the fourth chapter. For fifth chapter, he's telling about bhakti in the last verse, bhaktaram yajatapasam sarvalokamaheshwaram. In that verse he's explaining the concept of bhakti. So everywhere Krishna is always giving something for that everyone can come very closer to Krishna. So every chapter, in fact, second to 12, everywhere there is this ways by which one can approach Krishna. It's been very nicely explained. So in the fifth chapter, sixth chapter, seventh chapter, seventh from 1 to 14, he's explaining how worshipping of demigods is not conducible for a person. Only a low intelligence person can do, but one who is steadily should approach me directly. And then in the ninth chapter, he speaks about the essence of Bhagavad Gita. What is the essence of Bhagavad Gita? Which verse he speaks? We discussed this thing. If someone can remember and let us know, in which verse of ninth chapter does the essence of Bhagavad Gita has been explained?
934 प्रभु हरे कृष्ण दंडवत प्रणाम मनमना भव मत भक्तो मध्याजी माम नमस्करो
Yes.
मामे वैशसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणम्.
Yes, that was the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is telling how one should approach him, how one can pay obeisances to him, how just by offering himself and, manmanabho madbhakto, how one can become a devotee of the Lord. It's been very nicely explained in this verse of ninth chapter. And if someone can follow this thing, then his life becomes successful. And in the 10th chapter, again, he speaks about how what are the in the 10th chapter, where does Krishna speaks about pure devotional service or how to approach him? Anyone? Very easy. We did discuss this thing and we stopped our class here during that section. That is this book, this is Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarva Prapadante. These 4 verses, this Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna speaks about this aspect of devotional service, pure devotional service. So, and then 11th chapter also he speaks in the last verses how one can approach Krishna. This 54 and 55. My dear Arjuna, only undivided devotional service can one be understood. Can can I be understood? Standing before you, and you can thus be seen directly. Only in this way one can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. And then one more verse he speaks about the same way of practicing pure devotional service. So concept of bhakti is everywhere explained in all the chapters, almost all the chapters of how to approach Krishna. It's been very nicely explained in this thing. So Arjuna is asking in the first verse, which is more perfect, engaging in devotional service or worshipping the impersonal Brahman? He speaks very beautifully. If someone can, someone can just show the verses also while we are going through the next this 20 verses. Someone can just show them on the on the our Zoom. That will be very nice actually, because somehow my laptop isn't working, so I'm using my phone to give this class, so I cannot.
Yeah, I'm not qualified. I don't know how to do that on the Zoom, but Prema Nandini Mataji, can you do that?
Just the verses, in this first 20 verses of devotion service.
I made Mataji the host, co-host.
Yes. So that devotees can see also.
Yeah, and if anybody else can do that, we can quickly make them co-host.
So the first verse, by the time they display, Evam satata yuktaye bhakta svam parupashate ye
Mataji working on it, sorry.
tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Krishna Arjuna is asking which is considered more perfect, that who are always engaged in your devotion service or to worship the impersonal Brahman. So there are two classes of transcendentalists, one who are personalists and other are impersonalists. So why Arjuna thinks of what makes Arjuna think about the other processes? The thing is worship of the impersonal feature, what what makes him think is that worshipping this impersonal feature is like the waste of time. He thinks since one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So he has this doubt that, if I approach the Lord in an impersonalist way, then I'll be wasting a lot of time. And the impersonal form is very, very difficult. Yes. The personal form of the Lord is best because all other forms can be understood just by discussing this thing. So Krishna, the living entity, can very easily approach this Lord in totality. So that's what Arjuna wanted to see. And then what is Krishna's options? He tells Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Maya mano ye mam nityayukta upasate shraddhaya paripasetas te me yukta tamamata. Krishna is telling, second verse. You can just click the second verse. Yes. And if you go in the advanced settings, just go up a little bit. Hare Krishna, Mataji. If you just go in the advanced setting and then, you can click. No, just above the words. This is a setting in which we can just read the translation and the sloka. So advanced, show in advanced view. Yeah. Okay.
Is that how you do it, Prabhu?
No. You can just in that, you can just unclick. You can click on purport synonyms. If you just click it, then it will not show those things.
So
We just want translation and shloka, so that's what. If you just them these options,
okay, that shouldn't be. No,
yes,
sir.
okay, and that's it. Now the words and the translation is shown. That's it.
I didn't know that, Prabhu. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's very easy.
Yeah.
So what is Krishna telling? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying that those who fix their mind on my personal form and are always engaged in my worshipping me are with transcendental faith are considered to be most perfect. So Krishna is directly showing that what one should do to approach him. He's directly, telling clearly. There is no gray section. There is always white and black. Krishna is telling clearly that please approach me. Don't go to be attracted to this impersonal form. And people outside, if we consider this thing as the thing which we present outside, so many people are misguided. That they want to worship by just doing meditation on what? Some form of the meditation. Sometimes I've been to one organization before I came here, 20 years back, and that time they told us to just meditate on the light, which is coming from the candle. They had a light, and then the speaker was telling very nicely that just think that the light is entering you, and all these things. People are just misguided actually, and they think the worshiping the Lord is the only option. Is the impersonal Lord is very great. So Prabhupada writes in this purport that a pure devotee is in full samadhi because of his constant engagement, and then because he is constantly engaged, he's not wasting a single moment of time. He's constantly engaged in serving the Supreme Lord. And then what happened? Those who worship the unmanifest will also reach Krishna eventually, but surrendered to him. So Krishna is telling in this third verse, Ye tu aksharam anirdesham avyaktam parupasate sarvatragam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam संयमे इंद्रियं ग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धया ते पर्युपा ते ते पर्युपन्ति मे मामेवं सर्वभूता हितारता. Please, someone can read the translation. And it's very wonderful things which are explained here.
Okay, Prabhuji, I will read.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconvincible, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in welfare of all at last achieved me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So, what are the things, characteristics of the impersonal law, absolute truth has been explained here. What are the seven characteristics explained here? That he is unmanifested. He is beyond the sense perception. Second. Third, he is all pervading. He is inconceivable. He is unchanging. He is fixed and he is immobile. So these are like the characteristics which are explaining the impersonal feature of the Lord. And then he's telling how to worship the impersonal feature of the Lord. Krishna is telling also, if someone is attracted to that feature of the Lord, Krishna is telling very clearly that one can worship him by controlling the senses, and then by being equally disposed to every living entity, and then by engaging in welfare of all. And the difficulty for anyone who approaches common man is that the penance involved here is ultimate realization of full surrender to the takes place. So this is like something which one can understand. It's not an easy thing. So it's very, very challenging how one should worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So this is explained here in this verse. Next one. Klesho adiktarastesham avyaktam saktachetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehabhavir avyapatate. Can someone read the translation? Fifth one.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
Yes. So in this thing, Krishna is telling that who are the two groups of transcendentalists, that is Bhakti Yoga and the Jnani Yogas. Those persons who are full in Krishna consciousness, they engage in the service of the Lord. They are Bhakti Yogis. And the process of Bhakti is direct, and it's the thing which is which will be directly be pleasing to me is the direct service to the Supreme Personality of God. The process is there, who is the Bhakti Yoga, and the Bhakti Yogas accept the deity of the Lord, Krishna, because it there is no bodily concept, fixed, in the mind, which can thus be applied here, means which can be applied here very nicely, So this is explained here in this verse. And the Gyanis are like, those who follow the path of inconceivable and manifest, like last verse we are discussing what all the things, the unmanifested Lord, the inconceivable Lord is, the Lord is exhibiting. And the way of it, the thing is, this process of achieving the Lord through an impersonal way is very, very troublesome and very difficult. It's not simple, it's very difficult, and theoretically it can be understood very nicely. But when it comes to practical application, it's very challenging. To control the senses, like, to control the senses and to equally see, being equally disposed to anyone. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. Someone just misbehave with us or, speak something, and, we get agitated like anything. So it's challenging sometimes to be equally disposed to everyone. And if someone is not behaving properly, then it becomes very challenging. Someone doesn't, even for a sadhu also, it happens that if someone is giving nice charity, he becomes quite attracted to that person. But if the person is not giving any charity, he will not be attracted. So there will be no equal disposition, in the mind of a sadhu also if he's trying to do. And controlling of senses is not easy. The way of controlling of senses in Bhakti Yoga is that we engage the senses in the Lord's service. That becomes very easy then rather to control the senses, telling no to the senses for every time, and then always being engaged in doing the welfare activity for everyone. So these are like very challenging situation wherein the Bhakti Yoga is very, very difficult for a person to practice. And the practice is that he has to study all the Vedic literatures, learning the different languages, understanding it, speculating about and coming to the right conclusion. Whereas for the practitioner of a Bhakti Yoga, everything is very nicely presented to him when he hears from the Guru Parampara. Simply by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, by chanting the names of the Lord, by realizing that he's directly under the spiritual authority, spiritual bona fide authority, by serving under the spiritual master, this process becomes very, very easy for him. Just offering his worship to the deity form of the Lord, and worshiping them, regularly offering prasad to the Lord, offering the bhoga to the Lord, and accepting the remnants prasad in his life makes his life very, very happy. Actually, it makes his life very, very much out of any troubles. The process is very easily explained here, that the what is the path of impersonalist, why it is very difficult, and what is the practice a personalist do. It's very, for a personalist it's very easy, just by referring, by coming and accepting the spiritual authority, and the process becomes very, very easy. So there's one more aspect explained in this verse, in the purport, is that the here the realization what happens to an impersonalist is that he achieves only the realization of the Sat and Chit. That is the three aspects of the Supreme Lord are Sat Chit Ananda. So he can achieve only partial realization. The partial realization in the sense he can just come to the realization of Sat and Chit, the truth form and the Chit form of the Lord, is the consciousness that only he can realize. But then the Ananda form of the Lord is not realized by him, because he is not engaged in having relationship with the Lord or relationship with everyone. So that way he misses this Ananda feature of the Lord. But then while practicing while worshipping the Supreme Lord in a personalist way, in a in a way, by when we approach the Lord as a person, it becomes very easy because we experience the ananda, we experience the bliss of accepting the Supreme Lord as a person, and then it becomes very easy for a person in this section. So there is this in this section also there is this very beautiful description, very beautiful discussion can come about how deity worship is not an idol worship also. So many people, they consider that sometimes outside, actually, if you go and speak to different people around, they consider that approaching the Lord in a deity form is like an idol worship. How can you be satisfied just by worshipping the Lord as an deity? But then here it's always told that worshipping the Supreme Lord, because Lord manifests himself in his deity form, and Lord is like, Prabhupada gives this example many times, that Lord is like, the deity form is like the mailbox. Whatever you're offering, is put in the mailbox and is directly delivered to Krishna. He's Krishna himself, but then Prabhupada gives this analogy also, that whatever you're putting, whatever you're doing, because we don't have that spiritual vision to have to see or to worship the spiritual form of the Lord. So Lord is manifesting as a in a material form just for us to uh, accept, just for conditioned souls to accept this service. So he's there accepting our services. And if we have complete faith that the Lord is accepting our services as a deity, as the Lord who is there standing in the altar, then we can make tremendous amount of advancement. Whereas the impersonalist, the path is very, very troublesome, because controlling of senses is not easy. Having equal disposition is not easy, and doing the welfare activity is not easy. But then for us, it becomes very, very easy, because we see everyone as the child of Lord. Everyone is there, and we have that way of approaching the Lord by chanting the names of the Lord, by worshiping the Lord, by hearing about the Lord. So this becomes very easy in one way, that the deity form becomes like the authorized way, because he's the representative. The Archa Vigra form becomes becomes the representative of the Supreme Lord, and it becomes very, very easy for us to approach the Lord. Anything is there, Prabhupada always used to tell, if you have any problem, just go approach the deities of Gaur Nitai and tell that, oh Lord, Krishna Balram, please, that I have facing this problem. And immediately that problem will be solved, because now the anxiety is with them, not with us. So when you worship the Lord, the Lord also reciprocates. Ye yatamam prapadyante. In that way, the Lord will reciprocate. Whatever is your faith, whatever is your consciousness, the Lord does reciprocate in that way. So this form is very nicely been explained. And if we think about the ways how these two things are very, very challenging, the impersonalist and the personalist way, they have to meditate on a formless thing, which is very, very challenging. Sometimes the mind wanders here and there, but for as a devotee, or for a personalist, the meditation is on the deity form of the Lord. So it becomes very easy that he has a form in which he can meditate very easily. It's very easy for him to embody the form and then meditate upon him. And then, as we were telling about controlling the senses, it's not about, so much restrictions are there. He has to tell no, no, no to all the senses. Eyes he cannot open, he cannot see wherein, if he sees agitating things, then his mind can get agitated. If he eats anything which is not proper, his tongue, he's not able to control his tongue. But for a devotee, it's very easy, because he's engaging the senses. There is restriction of the senses on senses, but here there is engagement of the senses. So which is easy? Engaging the senses is more easier than restricting the senses. And the understanding becomes very difficult here, because he has to do a lot of mental speculation. He has to learn the different languages, different Upanishads. He has to go through all the Vedic scriptures, Vedic understanding. And and then it takes a lot of time, long practice requires. But here in Bhakti Yoga, what happens is it's very easy. The practice is very natural. As Prabhupada tells, even the chanting of the holy name can be done even by a small child. He tells in the purport of this Hare Krishna when he gives this commentary that even a child can take part in this thing. And so it becomes very easy. It's very, very natural. And then it's this is very troublesome, whereas this is very relatively very, very easy. And the best thing about practicing Bhakti Yoga is that all the miseries are mitigated as soon as one practices them. And it all depends in this impersonalist practice. Everything depends on our own endeavor. One has to struggle, one has to put so much endeavor just to do the right thing. Whereas here, the moment we take shelter of Krishna, we do have to do the right things, but we take shelter of Krishna and we are protected from the material energy, the Maya Devi. So this is like some very beautiful concepts explained, when we compare about the impersonal and personal feature of the Lord. So there is again this comparison also is there. If we read this thing about Brahman and Bhagwan. So what is Brahman? Brahman is having this nirguna qualities, whereas Bhagwan is having saguna qualities. Prabhupada writes it very nicely. So these aspects are very nicely explained here in this thing, in this verse. Okay, we'll recite the 6th verse. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यासमत्परा अनन्येन योगेन मां ध्यायन्ते उपासते तेषामहं समुद्राता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मयि अविसितचेतसम्. Someone can read the translation, please.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha, from them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
Here Krishna is telling very beautiful thing about devotional service. Devotional service is very simple and very easy. And it's personally like, Krishna is delivering to devotee. Those who worship me, with, those who worship me, with their activities devoted to me without deviation. So he's telling very beautiful principles here. Who is a fortunate devotee? Who is a fortunate person? Just a person who becomes very, very, a person who wants to just serve the Lord, engage in the devotional service without deviation, and always meditating upon the Supreme Lord, and fixing his mind. And then, just by doing this aspect, it becomes very easy. So mind completely has to be fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the Lord takes complete responsibility. Like we see this thing that, the child, when, um, you know, this analogy is also given, by Prabhupada. The practice of impersonalist thing is that, we want to put lot of endeavor in holding on the process. Like a monkey, when he's jumping from one branch to another, the child of the monkey, the small baby, he has to hold to the mother. If he loses the grip, or if he just, you know, does something like, while the mother is jumping or running around, he will definitely just fall down. So it's like very challenging for the monkey, the small baby, to hold on to the mother monkey. And that is what it's like, the thing in impersonalist thing, that we are endeavoring so much, we are ourselves trying to hold to the Supreme Lord. Whereas for a devotee, it's like the kitten, the kitten is held by the mother, so there is no anxiety for the kitten whether he will fall, or wherever the mother jumps or whatever she does, because she's holding it through the teeth, very nicely, he's protected. So that is something like the parental care has been given to the child, that has been given by the Lord. When only what is required, that our mind should be completely fixed on the Supreme Lord. So if we are able to just fix our mind, then what happens? Lord comes, he comes and rescues us from the ocean of birth and death. This is a very beautiful thing is been presented by the Lord in the pastime of Gajendra also. That the moment you fix your mind on me, the Lord took the form, on and came running to rescue his devotee, to get him out of this material world. Like an expert, the Lord is very much known for his protection. So he wants to always protect all the living all his devotees. So he's ready to come and protect everyone. And mm, he's like a person. Prabhupada gives this analogy also here in this thing, that a person tries to tries to swim in the ocean, but how long can he swim? It's not possible for him to swim in the ocean and cross the ocean. But then the moment he takes shelter of the Lord, shelter of the boat like thing, immediately he can cross the ocean very easily. But what is more comfortable is the Lord comes and picks the person and takes him somewhere, takes him to the spiritual world. So it becomes like the Lord delivers the person very easily because of his very nice practice, very nice determination, very nice practice of his devotional service without any deviation. So this is required, that one should be fortunate enough to practice devotional service. Yes, we'll go to the next verse. Maya ema dasvata mayi buddhim niveshanam nivasyani mayi evam atha urdham na samshayam. Can someone read the translation? So this is now the next section of Bhagavad, this chapter, wherein the progressive stages of devotional service has been explained. So we'll see next like 3-4 verses, 4-5 verses, the progressive way of approaching the Lord. It's been very nicely explained.
Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so this is the first thing what Krishna is telling, the topmost stage of directly practicing pure devotional service. What is he telling? Fix your mind on me. And will live in the relationship with me. Means if you fix your mind on Krishna, then you can have the fixed relationship with me. And then just by practicing this topmost, the best thing for a devotee is to engage his mind. And that is something like which is very, very difficult also. At the same time, it's the highest thing what one can do. One can engage his body, one can engage his words, but to engage the mind is the challenging thing. When we sit and chant Hare Krishna, we are engaging our body, we are engaging our tongue, but the mind is wandering all over the world. It's very difficult. Like, we hardly sometimes we hear the holy name. Bhurijan Prabhu tells one of the things why one is not making advancement in devotional service is because he's not putting his mind while chanting the holy name of the Lord. The mind should be engaged in hearing the holy name of the Lord. And how many times do we hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? So it's very challenging to engage the mind in practicing pure devotional service. Body can be engaged very easily. We go to the temple, our body is engaged. We chant the holy name of the Lord, our tongue is engaged, our senses are engaged. Our words can be engaged, but then the mind has to be engaged. That is like the challenging thing. So if you perform the devotional service, that is like through the mind, it becomes like the best thing. It's like engaging our mind and engaging our sense, our intelligence is something which is like, you know, is the most challenging thing. And in devotional service, one lives, the moment he does this thing, what happened? He lives in relationship with the Supreme Lord. And so it doesn't matter whether devotee lives in this world or in the other world, because his mind is fixed upon the Supreme Lord. What is the difference between a pure devotee and a practicing devotee, or a devotee who is just practicing. What is the difference is his mind is always engaged in the service of the Lord. So even if he is in this material world trying to do anything, his mind is so much engaged in the Supreme Personality of Godhead that it becomes very easy for him to go back to him by just engaging by connecting to the Supreme Lord, because his mind is engaged completely. Whereas for a practicing devotee, he's on the still on small on his way. He's trying to practice. He's trying to engage in some way, and then engage his mind. So this is the thing. Now Krishna is telling the most topmost thing. What is there? Okay, ninth verse. Ata chittam samudhatam na sokhyati mai stiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichchapata dhananjaya. Someone read the translation.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
Yes. So Krishna is telling those who have not developed attachment to me how to develop attachment to me. The way of achieving having attachment to me is if you follow the regulative principles of devotional service under the guidance of a guru, like rising early in the morning, entering the temple hall, offering Mangal Arti, offering prayers, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, offering flowers, worshipping the deities, cooking for the deities, taking care of the deities by honoring the prasad, constantly hearing Bhagavad Gita, constantly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and by doing this thing under the guidance of a guru, what happens is one becomes attached to the regulative principles of devotional service. And by practicing these regulative principles for a long time, one can very easily develop attachment to Krishna. And the moment we have attachment to Krishna, then what happens? And we can come to the platform where we can, perform this devotional service very nicely, without any deviation. And then what is the qualification to practice this thing? Anyone can practice this devotional service. And what is the guarantee? The guarantee is its success. There is success guaranteed, for this thing. So this is like very beautiful thing. Bhakti yoga is the purification of the senses prescribed by following the rules and regulations. And the moment the senses are engaged in direct contact with the Supreme Lord, they become purified. And the moment they are purified, the dormant love of Godhead, which is there within every living entity, gets arise. And once this arising of the dormant love takes place in the heart, what happens is, one comes to the platform of pure devotional service and one becomes attached to Krishna. So it all starts with the process of practicing bhakti yoga under the guidance of a guru by engaging the senses, by practicing this rules and regulations prescribed in the. So this is the second level where Krishna is telling that, first you fix your mind on me. If not, please follow the regulative principles. If you are not able to do that also, then Krishna is telling, Abhyase pi Abhyase api samarthasi mat karma param bhavam madartam api karmani kurvam siddham avapsasi. Please read the translation. Someone can read the translation.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
Now, since you are not able to still practice the regulative principles, what is Krishna telling? Work for me. If you can just work for me, then what will happen? Krishna is telling, if you start working for me, then you will automatically, you will try to come to the moment of Krishna, will try to offer Krishna whatever is there. So you will try to endeavor everything to serve Krishna. And then, you can work for me in the sense you can engage in whatever you're working, you're constructing a temple or you're doing something, so you should work for Krishna. And if you work for Krishna and that sacrifice you are making to offering the results, then what happens is it becomes very easy for you to remember Krishna, that you're doing something for Krishna. And then for that, what you do, you can still slowly come to the process of practicing bhakti yoga. And then you can come to the stage of perfection, practicing pure devotional service. So work from Krishna, you will get benefit. You will get benefit. You will come to the perfect stage by slowly engaging all your external senses, at least for Krishna, if you are working for Krishna. अथातित अपो अपि असक्तोऽस्मि कर्तुं मत् योग आश्रिता सर्वकर्म फलं त्यागम तथा कुरु ये आत्मनम. Can someone read the translation?
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self situated. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now Krishna is telling, at least if you are not able to work for me directly, then you need to try to give the results. Sacrificing the accumulated results, whatever you have done, try to give it to me. And how one can do that, that will, by that, you have to increase your knowledge, increase your knowledge in the sense, increase your, um, if you work for me, if you give the results, then what happened, gradually you will elevate to the stage of, knowing me. And once you start knowing me, like, sometimes people just want to give something. What we can do is, we cannot accept Krishna fully, but we can give our results. You take some money from us and, you please be satisfied. Most of the people outside are like that. We cannot serve Krishna 100% like how you are doing, but what we can do is, we can give some of the results. So slowly, when they do it this thing regularly, then they can understand that, they can work for Krishna also. And if they're not directly working for Krishna, then what happens? They can follow the, if they work for Krishna, then they can follow the regulative principle. So this is another stage where, Krishna is just accepting whatever sacrifices you are giving. If you give it for me, I'm ready to accept it. So instead of giving charity to some hospital or some to welfare activity here and there, better, give some charity for spreading this message, and then spreading the practice of bhakti yoga. And then eventually, if you keep doing that thing, because it's hard on money, so eventually, gradually, you will understand the process of Krishna consciousness, because it will eventually purify your mind also. So the last thing he's telling in this one is, yeah, please come down to 12th verse. श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम अभ्यास ज्ञानाध्यानम विषयते ध्यानात् कर्म फलम त्यागम त्याग शांतिर अनंतरम. Someone can read this translation. So it's coming to the culmination of what happens.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Hare Krishna.
So how one can attain peace of mind is very nicely telling. If you just cannot practice, if you can, if you cannot, um, if you just engage in cultivating the knowledge, then what happens, he's telling, if you just cultivate the knowledge of bhakti, then what happens is, you can do meditation. So Krishna is very nicely telling how one can fix here. The eighth verse tells, fixing your mind on Krishna. Ninth verse, following the regulative principles. In the 10th verse, he's telling, work for me, and then giving up the result. So if you're not able to give up the result also, then what is he telling? Try to acquire, try to, at least do, develop some knowledge about me by doing some meditation. If you do that, then gradually you will understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the yoga ladder which he is explaining, Krishna is explaining here. Krishna says what is better. Meditation is better. Krishna is telling, because it is the most practical, and it does not disturb the mind at all. So the meditation with which is done to which is done just not on the basis of acquiring the knowledge, but it gives, one, the moment you start acquiring the knowledge and you start doing meditation, then what happens, you understand your original position. And the moment you understand your original position, and then you understand the position of the Supreme Lord, it becomes very easy. And it becomes that you can engage yourself in Krishna's service. So for that, you need to develop that knowledge. The moment you develop that knowledge, it becomes you know easy. So this is like the progressive ladder, what Krishna is telling. That at least you do something. You start somewhere and you start doing something. If you start, if you start by doing some meditation, if you start by, developing the knowledge, if you engage yourself in cultivation of some knowledge, Brahma Jigyasu, if you develop that, then what happens? Just don't come to that stage and stop. If you are getting the knowledge, then do some meditation also. And what you will do meditation on the super soul. Or if you do meditation, then what you can do is you can offer the results. You can renounce the result and give it to me. If you are able to do that thing, then I will attain peace automatically. So Krishna is very much been very kind that he is ready to accept everyone, by giving that, whatever way you do, at least you try to approach me. If you approach me, then definitely you will be benefited out of me. So this was one section where the options were given by the Lord. And now he tells about the devotee's disposition. What happens, the qualities that endears one to Krishna from highest to lowest. So what are the qualities? We'll go very fast from this section because now time is coming. So we'll just read. Okay. Advaita sarvabhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirankara samadukha sukha shami santusto satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchaya mayi arpita mano buddhir yo mad bhakta same priya. Yeah. Can someone just read the translations?
One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Very beautifully, Krishna is telling, about this thing. Taking all sufferings as Krishna's kindness to avoid reaction. This section of this section of verse is very beautifully explained there. Advaita, non-envious. If we become non-envious and if we are kind to everyone, even to our enemies, then what happens? We become santushta, satisfied. We are like fully satisfied with what? With whatever comes by Lord's grace. Whatever Lord does, we are satisfied. We are not putting our endeavor to achieve something apart from Lord's mercy. So there is santushta in the heart of a devotee. There is advaita, because of our being non-envious to everyone, he is very, very santusht. And what happens once he is he's santusht, then there is nirmaha. And he has no proprietorship mentality. And because he has no proprietorship mentality, he is drida nishchaya. His determination is there that, because of his controlling of the senses, there is drida nishchaya that, whatever comes, I'll be ready to will practice it. And there is tolerance, and there is yatma, he is self-controlled because of practicing this thing. And then my arpita mana buddhi, his mind and intelligence are fixed entirely on the Supreme Lord. Basically, just start with one quality of being non-envious. So it's told that, envy is one of the greatest enemy of the living entity. Because of being envious only, we are stuck up in this material world. Because of being envious of Krishna, in one way, because of being envious of Krishna, we have come to this material world. And because of being envious of Krishna and the other living entities, we get stuck in this material world. So envy is like very, very deadly thing in our heart. So if one can overcome this thing, then he can very easily practice all these qualities what are very easily been explained here, and it becomes very easy actually. Just by becoming non-envious, one can very easily approach the Supreme Lord. So the Lord is very, very merciful to everyone. He speaks to Brahmaji also that, you know, one who thinks that, he don't deserve anything, that he's not reacting to any of things what are happening in this material world. And he thinks that I deserve more worse than what Lord is giving. And that person he becomes the rightful one, to come to the spiritual world, so he speaks that, one who thinks in that consciousness only, he's possible that, he can go back home, back to Godhead. So the thought process of a devotee in a distressful condition is very nicely explained here in this verse also. He thinks that the Lord is very merciful upon to him. Why the Lord is very merciful? Because he's allowing me to think about him. He's thanking for the past misdeeds what he's doing. That, whatever I'm suffering is because of the things what I've been engaged in my previous lives, so much bad karma I've done, and I'm suffering now just because of I'm going through all this reactions of my past misdeeds. And the Lord is merciful that He is giving me a small token of what I'm done. So He
So
has
yeah.
concept that, the Lord is so merciful that He's just giving me small small things here and there, and then Lord is protecting me from so many things. And this way what happens is the person is always thinking that, he himself is the instrument of all my karma, that I am the instrument of all my bad karma, and the Lord is taking away all my things by giving small reactions. And what is the result? The result is that he is very calm, very peaceful even in the distressful situation. And we see this thing, that the devotees are very, very compassionate or very kind, even in so many troublesome situations. And he never becomes envious of anyone, and he becomes eligible for practicing or going to the Supreme Lord. So, there are so many examples which we can speak upon this concept only, that how Lord is so merciful. Lord is so merciful that, he gives this consciousness to the devotee when he's going to distressful situation. Yeah, he's not affected when others are, criticizing him, or others are speaking ill about him. Rather, we have the example of Prahlad Maharaj, we have example of Parikshit Maharaj, they're not affected by others, what they are speaking or what others are doing. But their consciousness is just to please the Supreme Lord, even in very difficult situations. When distress arise, that time we can know what is the color of a devotee. Generally, when if you want to see the nature of a person, you put him in little distressful situation, and you will understand what he is going through. And Lord does put everyone. That's the nature of the material energy, that it will put everyone in some distressful situation. But what is your consciousness at that time? That determines your thing, how you're going ahead. So one is not affected by this thing, then it becomes very, very easy. Okay. So the 15th verse, right? Yasmano vitato loko no vitate chaya harshamarshya bhaya muktaya sami priya. Someone can read. How long we can go? It's already like 8:30. So I think more 5 minutes we'll try to cover up everything. And so we'll just read the slokas and translations, or maybe we'll just go through this thing, understanding this thing. Yeah, someone can read.
Yeah. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety is very dear to me.
Yes. In distressful situations also, what is our disposition? It's been very nicely explained here. He becomes very, very happy. If one who, in spite of putting in such a difficult situation, how is one reacting? How is one exhibiting the quality of a devotee? There is no fear in the anxiety. We see it in this thing very nicely when devotees are put into difficulty, especially when the time of death or during the time of any accident. We see what is their consciousness, and immediately we understand, yes, he is eligible, to go back home, back to Godhead. Yeah, next verse, please. Someone can read the translation only.
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
Yeah. So who is very dear, who is very dear to him? Lord is telling that, one who is neutral, one who is pure, one who is expert, one who is free from the care of other, care, and then he's free from all distress. That person is very, very dear. So pure devotional service means he's not, he's detached from everything worldly. He's not attached to any of the worldly things here in what are being explained. Yes, next sloka.
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me.
So Krishna is telling who is very dear. Now, he's telling that no one who neither rejoices nor grieves over material gain or loss. It's difficult, these situations are explained here. And when it comes to practically, even if we lose a small, what do you call pen or something like that, also we become little bit anxiety. We have little anxiety of losing that also. But then, sometimes people are so attached to small things also. And Krishna is telling one who is unaffected by these things, material loss or gain. Sometimes if we lose a phone for our 30 minutes, then so much anxiety is there, if you're not able to see our phone. So, and it's like something which we have to really learn and be not affected by these things. Now, there is practicality of what is been told also, and there is emotionally also material emotions or the emotions what are required for a devotee to grow also are very nicely explained here. So one has to see that uh, in the transcendental space, all auspicious and inauspicious acts should be given up, and one should prepare to risk his life for serving Krishna. And he's nothing, yeah, nothing is an impediment in the discharge of devotional service. So that should be the consciousness of devotional service. So he's unaffected by material emotions also. Yes. Samasha, this is
Could someone read the translation? Anyone else would like to read? One who is equal to friends, and anyone else would like to read? Otherwise, I can go ahead.
Yeah, Mataji, I can read. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equiposed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who's engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me.
yes. Last words also, please read.
Yeah.
Hetu dharmatmaitam yuktam.
Those who follow the imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
So here Krishna is telling who is very dear to me. In each verses he's glorifying his, like asking for the devotee to exhibit these qualities, or have these qualities so that he becomes, one can become very, very dear to him. Each verse actually can be taken like into a different level of discussions. Actually, we are just rushing through the verse since we have to complete this chapter. But 18th, 19th verse is so beautiful. 20th verse is so beautiful. We can speak on each and every quality what Krishna is exhibiting. He's asking actually. Sangha Virjita, he's always asking that one should not be associated with material contamination. One who is like, Shantir Matir, fixed in determination and knowledge. So all these qualities are like very beautiful qualities. What Krishna is exhibiting, what Krishna is telling that, once you start practicing devotional service, all these qualities will be the one which you can inculcate very easily. And by just having these qualities, one can become very dear to Krishna. So this is the attitude what Krishna is telling, from each verse, attitude towards being non-selfish person. Especially, one if one starts becoming non-envious, this is one of the things what I've heard during this section of Gita is, one should have this non-envious attitude towards all living entity, and that will make him, you know, uh, that will make him grow all these qualities very easily. And if one does that, then it becomes very, very easy for us to have this determination to practice devotional service very easily. So there is this Tatastha Lakshan, and then there is Sarupa Lakshan. So these Lakshans are like exhibited here, you know. So um, what has been described in this section. So so five practices that awakens love for Krishna has been very nicely explained, by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That if one does that, it becomes very easy. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathura Vas, Sri Murtira, Sadhyara Seva. So if one does this, it becomes very, very easy for awakening our pure devotional service. Associating with devotees, chanting the names of the Lord, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reciting at Mathura Dham, and then properly worshipping the deities. If one does this thing, it becomes very, very easy. These are like the limbs of devotional service, five limbs of devotional service, which can very easily awaken the love of Godhead very easily. So, if one practices this pure devotional service in this connection, in this, then one can achieve the Supreme Lord very easily. So that is
Prabhu,
it.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. What was the last thing, Prabhu? I was writing it down. So could you
Yeah, yeah.
please repeat?
Associating with devotees, chanting the holy names of the Lord, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, residing at Dham, Mathura, and performing deity worship.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry for interrupting.
No, no, no. It's okay. Yes, so we have come to the conclusion of this chapter. Now it's already 8:35, and I don't want to delay more. So, anyone has any questions, comments, realizations, or any corrections, please feel to speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for completing the chapter. Last Sunday you were so happy.
Yeah,
Completed the chapter. Yeah. This time also you were able to. We met the goal. Very nice.
yes,
And
yes, we,
I wanted to mention something about the last class you mentioned, na? Whose
mm,
throat is, I'm having a little cold, so I'm like a little bit not to the mark right now. But you like, even when like Krishna came in the four-handed form in the jail with Vasudev and Devaki, right?
yes,
So the parents were so petrified, they got so scared because they thought that Kamsa will come and see. So they pleaded to him to come in the two-handed form, like a baby. So
yes,
the father can carry him, through the Yamuna, like that. We heard that, but even the four-handed form was very was not taken. I mean, it was very scary for the parents, especially when the mother is giving birth. Although it was not ordinary birth, Krishna doesn't take birth ordinarily like that. But so I can imagine how much it will be when uh, Arjun saw the universal form, because that is like not even 400. I don't know how many heads and hands are there.
mhm,
Arjuna was very strong to see that form, because the other 400 form they were not able to. It was a 400 form, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah. So they were not able to tolerate that. And but then the thing is also like, they were not concerned that time about 400 or universal. The parents, their concern was become a baby so we can hide you, otherwise you'll be killed,
yes.
right? So, but still that fear was there, just like Arjuna. um, is there any way also in the scriptures where the 400 form is shown, and the devotee didn't want to see the 400 form?
400 form. One is the Gita, where Krishna himself, Arjuna himself is telling that, please show me the 200 form after seeing this thing. And
No, after
yeah,
universal form, Krishna showed the
uh,
400 form.
yes, and then the 200 form.
Okay, so he didn't want to see the 400 form also.
Yeah, he wanted Krishna to be as Krishna as he is there in front of him as a charioteer. So
Okay.
this is his request is like that.
But the 400 form is in Vaikuntha planet also, right? Everybody, Krishna has there, and everybody who goes there also
Yes, they all
develops 400 form.
has a 400 form.
Yes.
Um, Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
Sorry,
Just
sorry, Mataji, go ahead. I thought you were
no, no. I
done.
wanted to clear the doubt that is the 400 form also very fearsome or
No,
from Prabhuji.
some 400 very loving, but Arjuna wanted to clarify this thing that he
Hmm.
wanted to see the 200 form only as Krishna is good. He wanted to have that darshan only rather than having the darshan of 400 form. So that is one thing. So
Also,
Krishna,
when Lord Vishnu is lying down on the causal ocean
mm,
on the Sheshnag, and goddess of Lakshmi is like pressing his feet. There's a picture we've seen, all of us. In that form also, it is 400 form.
yes, 400 form. Krishna,
That's also 400. Okay, Narayan form.
yes, Narayan form. In
Narayan form is
Vaikuntha,
yeah.
Vaikuntha God is exhibiting his Narayan form only.
Hare
So Prabhu,
Krishna, Prabhuji, this is Amritamani Devidasi.
yeah.
Two words you mentioned in the last two, three verses, Srupam and Tushtatam, I think. Could you please elaborate on those two words?
Okay, the primary Lakshanam, Sarupam Lakshanam. So primary Lakshanam is the Lakshanam what Krishna is exhibiting that a devotee should have. These are like the Lakshanam or the qualities what he is exhibiting, asking in the 13th and 14th verses are like normal. Like these are like the uh, primary Lakshanam, primary qualities what a devotee should endeavor to have it, which makes him very dear to Krishna. And the other qualities are there, which will automatically, if one exhibit, then that also becomes very clear to Krishna, very dear to Krishna. So these are like the two terminologies. What was the word? Sarupam Lakshanam and um, what was the other word? Sorry, I used it. Hmm. One.
Tushtatam and Surupam, those two words you used.
Vishnutam, yes. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have one question.
You know
Like
what,
you were,
I would just conclude with my thing. I was actually speaking that time. The thing is that Vishnu form,
Yeah.
Lord Vishnu form is not 400 form.
Sorry, Lord?
Lord Vishnu
Uh,
is not in 400 form.
no, Lord Vishnu is in 400 form only.
Anytime we think of Lord Vishnu, Narayan,
Yes, he,
it's 400.
yes, he's having 400 form.
Okay, every time we think of Vishnu, it's a 400 form. And only Krishna comes as exhibiting 400, 200,
Yes.
and Krishna himself. Okay, I got that clear. Okay, thank Mataji. Sorry. Please go ahead. Others can ask. Premanandini Mataji,
yes, Mataji. No,
just go ahead.
Amrita Mani Mataji was speaking, right? Is she done?
Yeah, I'm done. He answered.
Yeah. Anyone else has
Thank
any
you.
questions? If
No,
everyone is done, then I'll ask.
no,
That's
Mataji. You
okay.
have to ask now. You have to ask.
No, no, Mataji, there are other people, right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if anyone else has any questions. Okay. So, Prabhu, we were looking at all the qualities of devotees, and I was just thinking of something that I'm working on myself. So, I'm speaking for myself. So, sometimes when we are in conversation with dear friends, like close friends, or maybe sisters or siblings, like brothers, and we talk about our experiences when we were growing up. And I always feel like I shouldn't talk, but when the moment comes, in the heat of that moment, we end up with saying things that we have experienced. Probably they were not fair as per my perspective. Things were There were things that were very unfair, and when the topic comes up, I talk about them like this is what I have been through. And so, is that okay, Prabhu? Because I'm really trying my best not to speak, but then with like close friends and like your sister, it's just that in heat of that moment we lament over things that have already how to curb that thing, Prabhu, or is it okay to just let our emotions flow? And I tell, like when I'm speaking about those experiences, I do mention that this was Krishna's plan. I understand that Krishna, through those hardships, brought me to the point where I am. And even at that time I knew there is probably not Krishna, but I believed in Ganesha very strongly. So my father would always say, okay, so Lord Ganesha, always think of Ganpati Bappa, he protects us. Always chant his name, don't be scared, just be brave. So so faith was there, and slowly Lord Ganesha directed me into this direction, and I understood that, it's all Lord Krishna. So, but still, when the topics come up, they are so painful that you end up talking about them and then you regret, oh, I had decided that I'm not going to discuss anything anymore. So, how to curb that habit? Or, Prabhu, is it okay to let it flow? It's okay. So, can you please shed some light on that? Since we were talking about what a devotee should do and not do, I just wanted to.
Yes, for a devotee, he's not taking in consideration, like when there is some injustice which has happened, or with some incidents which has happened where one has gone through very emotional trauma, or emotional experience, what a person has gone through. The thing is, definitely there is some pain in the heart when these things happen. And when we meet that person, or when that point come or discussion comes, definitely these emotions, they erupt from the heart, since because we have gone through a lot of pain and lot of these things. So it's something which one should learn as a devotee, that there are many difficult pains what a person has gone through. But if we start speaking about them in public, or if we start discussing about them, that thing will keep haunting us more and more. So for a devotee, he wants to please Krishna rather than pleasing, or speaking or accusing other person. It's more important that we want to serve Krishna, we want to please Krishna in a way that Krishna loves us. There might be some people, definitely, in this world, in this material world, because the world is made where people are going to get purified. By who will purify? Each other. The persons who is living with us only will purify us. There is no other person who is living outside your home will come and purify you, but the person who is living with you only will definitely purify you. So if Lord is making someone an instrument for our purification, we should not blame that instrument. Rather than we should think that this is the mercy of the Lord. A devotee consciousness is that yes, whatever has happened, definitely it's something what Krishna wanted me to learn. We definitely have learned a very strong lesson, and I don't want to repeat it again. Whatever mistakes I have done, I don't want to repeat it again. And I don't want to curse, or I don't want to speak, I don't want to accuse anyone. I'll think definitely that that was Krishna's hand, what had happened, and I accept that as Krishna's mercy upon me. And if I bring it more again and again, that this is because of you, what has happened in my life, and we start, then we hardly see the hand of Krishna. So we lose that opportunity where we can come closer to Krishna. Rather, we want to come closer to Krishna means we are ready to accept this situation, what we have gone through, and see that as a hand of Krishna. So, we see, like, definitely there will be emotions, and one cannot forget that thing. But then one always wants to remember that it's by Krishna's mercy only that things have changed in the due course of time. Though I have had bad experience in that situation, but then by Krishna's mercy, I could come out of that situation. So devotee is very grateful in that way, and if one is grateful in that way, then it becomes very very dearing. He becomes very dear to Krishna, thinking even if he's put in difficult situation, he's remembering me. So that will make a devotee more and more dearer to Krishna, rather than accusing Krishna, or accusing the situation, or accusing the people around. We are trying to find the right thing. Is we are trying to find a the way Krishna is acting. And we in one way, the living entity has to suffer so much because of the past things what he has done. And we hardly know, in this life we have committed so many sinful activities. In the last life we have committed so many sinful activities. We have a strong mountain of sinful activities. But then what is happening is, we are hardly getting whatever we deserve, in bad way. But Krishna is just reciprocating, or Krishna is giving as a token of this thing, small things what he is giving. So one has to really think in this aspect rather than in thinking of other aspect. So this is the best thing what one can do. Definitely when it comes, when some topics are, when some topics are discussed, definitely our emotions definitely come out. But then we always take that thing and we want to see that, it's always Krishna's reciprocation in that way, that he has saved us in that situation. So this should be the consciousness. We are very grateful, thankful to Krishna. Even if there is something wrong if just happened, if someone loses his life, if someone loses his relatives, if someone loses great amount of wealth, position, or if one is not able to succeed, it's all Krishna's plan actually, what Krishna is, making a living entity go through. And we cannot understand Krishna's plan. Sometimes Krishna doesn't give, and then that makes a person very a wonderful person. If Krishna gives, that makes a person, one should be ready to accept also if Krishna is giving. If one is ready to withhold and Krishna is not giving, still one is ready to go on practicing devotional service. That is something what Krishna definitely likes, and that will make him very, very dear to Krishna. So we see many examples also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I remember now, I just that there is this Gangadas Pandit, the teacher of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he was a logician, he was the teacher, who taught Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at one time, he was traveling. He was in a situation where the Mohammedans, the soldiers were trying to find everyone and they were trying to kill. So at the home, he was their home was near the bank of Ganges, and he wanted to save his family. And during that time, he starts wondering why Krishna has put me in this situation. And then he starts taking his family and running towards the Ganges. He wants to somehow cross the Ganges and go to the other part. And he sees there is not a single boat. There is nothing. And out of somewhere he, initially his mood was different, but then he starts praying to Krishna that please Krishna, please send someone. And immediately, there is a boat with a boatman who comes at the right time to take all the family members, and they cross the boat very safely to the other part of the river or the other part of the Ganges. And this he remembers very strongly. And then during the what is that pastime where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving benedictions to everyone at the house of Srivas for 21 hours. During that festival, when it comes to Gangadas Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes him remember this thing. And that time, the emotions what Gangadas Pandit is going through, he tells that, oh, I never knew that, you manifested that as a boat. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said that I manifested as a boat and I came as the boatman to save you because you were completely dependent on me. So they were emotions, they were like things which were going on. It's like a life and death situation for the complete family. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting that since you remembered me very, very much, with a great amount of heart, I wanted to come and give protection to you. So Lord does speak that there will be emotions in difficult situations. But then what is the disposition of a devotee is always ready to accept. He is always ready to accept the situation, ready to see the hand of Krishna, how Krishna is acting. Yes, tomorrow if someone, sometimes, if Krishna gives some terminal disease or something like that, how is the disposition of a person? It's like very challenging, it's all about you're going to end your life within some months or some days. And what is your consciousness? So Krishna just wants to speed up the process of bhakti in your life and make you bring. If that is the consciousness, that's the perfect thing. But if a person is accusing Krishna that why did this disease come to me, I did what did I do to deserve this thing, then it's like totally wrong in one way. He'll not make advancement, or he'll not become dear to Krishna. Yeah, he will definitely, with whatever practices he's going to do, but then the moment he thinks, okay, I deserve worst, I deserve more, then it's like that. Krishna becomes very happy when he sees, yes, you're ready to accept all troubles for me, you're ready to accept all difficulties for me, you're ready to go through a lot of sufferings for my sake. Definitely Krishna will be very pleased, and this will make like us very dear to Krishna, because you're going through difficult situation and you're still not forgetting Krishna, you're still not forgetting the hand of Krishna. So one has to have this consciousness. The lower consciousness is always of accusing, or always of speaking, and or always of speaking something injustice what has happened to ourselves. That will always be there, because that is the nature of the mind, nature of the lower consciousness what we have. So that will happen even in our temple. When we live as a brahmachari, we start telling that I was not given this facility, I was not given this thing at the right time. And we start telling, we are living with Krishna in the temple with him, we are practicing pure devotional service, but still we become ungrateful sometimes. Then it's the consciousness, then Krishna is like pitiful for a devotee, or for a person who is living in that situation also. So it's all about how you dispose your consciousness at the difficult situations. And this is a greatest test, and people will see that what was your disposition during that time, and that will make others come closer to Krishna. When people see that, oh my God, he's still feeling so grateful to Krishna for giving this trouble, that means he's really practicing Krishna consciousness. That means he's really practicing something which is very dear to Krishna. That will make others also feel, yes, what he's practicing is valuable, and others will definitely take to process of bhakti. And sometimes Krishna puts his devotees in these situations just to teach others how, in difficult situations also, a devotee shines. Never, he shines like anything, and he brings so many of the people who are seeing a devotee, seeing such a person, and then that gives faith in others that yes, this process works, and this is the thing which I want to practice. Srila Prabhupada exhibited through his life, all our acharyas have exhibited through their lives going through difficulty situations. Every acharya life you take, and then you see how difficult the situations were and how they have gone through. It will never be an easy journey. There will be definitely pebbles, there will be stones on the path, but then yes, it's like always required that we have the right disposition when we are practicing. And this is what we learn when we read scriptures very nicely, when we are in the nice association. We learn these things, and we grow when we are making any mistakes also. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Really appreciate that detailed answer. Thank you. Very helpful.
It's almost like 9 o'clock now. Should we end now? Because I miss my Bhagavat, but it's okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
जय शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, जय वांछा
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय। His Grace Pran Gopal Das Prabhu ji ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.